When thinking of stereotypes, some of the first things that come to mind are stereotypical groupings we make while still in grade school. Things like the popular kids, jocks, and most important for this video, nerds. Many harmful stereotypes about nerds exist. One of the biggest examples seen in pop culture is nerds being portrayed as very physically weak. As with most stereotypes, this portrayal leads to many negative things. If you identify with being a nerd, being seen as weak could ostracize you from groups before you even have a chance to participate in them. It would be unlikely for you to gain an appreciation of things like sports if you are stereotyped into not liking them by the people who would otherwise discuss it with you. You would not be able to learn how to work out or even be put in situations that would build muscle. These experiences would lead you down a path that might not have been taken by a non-stereotyped individual. One of the biggest problems is that many stereotypes, nerds not being strong included, are not even true. One of the most obvious breakers of these stereotypical rules is Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is a running back for the Detroit Lions football team. His extreme athleticism is obvious when looking at his physical tests at the combine. He was able to run 40 yards in just 4.53 seconds and bench press 225 pounds 18 times. Jamal Williams, however, is a big self-proclaimed nerd.
Just want to go home and play Pokemon.
Go home and play Pokemon?
Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Jamal Williams is a direct opposition to the stereotype of nerds. He better represents what being a nerd is by unabashedly supporting his interests. Another great example of a person who flies in the face of this stereotype is Henry Cavill. Despite being an extremely physically fit individual, even playing the role of the Man of Steel himself, he is the definition of a nerd. He is one of the most vocal nerds in Hollywood.
Absolutely, yeah. I was playing a game called World of Warcraft. I missed the call from Zack Snyder to tell me I got Superman.
These two people clearly challenge what a nerd is supposed to look like. People who are big and muscular. Being big and muscular should not become the new stereotype, however, because you would just fall into the same negatives about stereotypes that being weak had. Instead, there should be no preconceived notion about physical appearance or physical ability at all. A person who fits this bill nicely is Donald Glover. He is not what most people would think a stereotypical nerd would look like. He is your average person who simply enjoys things that are seen as nerdy. Since he is not a stereotypically weak nerd, and is also an average body type, Donald Glover is an example of what you should picture when imagining a nerd. Stereotypes are all around us in everyday life, and are almost unavoidable. We should, however, try to have the best representation possible when making assumptions like stereotypes. In the case of the stereotypical nerd being weak, this should change completely to having no physical characteristics attached at all. Instead being defined by the true definition of a nerd being extremely insightful about certain topics they like.
It's like, if they're making a Han Solo movie, Lando's got to be in it, and I want to be Lando.